Bon après-midi, good afternoon everyone. Today I want to talk about readings, but the way I want to talk about readings is in a way that most people do not talk about readings, and that is the downside or the dangers of readings. See, when a lot of people go to spiritualists for readings, a lot of people enter into the reading blind. And in times like this, spiritualists take advantage of customers or their clients, because it's the spiritualist that you're confiding in to give you the truth. A technique that a lot of wannabe spiritualists do is they give you a little truth and they mix the rest with a bunch of lies. See, why? The reason why is because if they get you to identify with certain truths, when they lay the mustard down on the bread, you will accept it. So they put the hot dog on a bun, but now underneath the hot dog they give you a little mustard here and there. So now the fact that you've heard certain things that you can agree with, now you're open to believing whatever they have to say afterwards. So you get a reading, everything is clear. Oh my God, I can identify with this. And now you start, the spirit is telling me that you need to make a sacrifice in Haiti. The law said you got to marry me. Or, I think this person is doing spiritual work on you. But now, the fact that they told you things that you identify with, now you are apt to believe everything they say afterwards. Oh my God, this person's doing it. I knew it. The way they looked at me. Oh, the way they are with me. So now you begin to believe this, and now you find yourself in a cycle, the revolving door cycle, where this spiritualist does one thing to you, now you go to another spiritualist, you find yourself believing the same mess. So you say in your mind, if this spiritualist says that and that spiritualist says that, it must be the truth then. And that's absolutely far from the truth, because one thing most people don't realize is that in the spiritual community, that is pretty much the game amongst a lot of wannabe spiritualists, wannabe Wugans, wannabe Mombos, wannabe Bonkos. A lot of people will tell you things that sound good, but they'll give you the rest with things that are not true, and things that will put you in a state of perpetual fear. So now that you are in fear or anger, because now they told you that this person is doing this, that person is doing that to you, now you say, I want to do something about it. I want to make sure this person doesn't ever do nothing. Now they just created an enemy that has nothing to do with your situation. I've seen readers tell lies to people that has ruined relationships, that have ruined families. Not only do the deception from these spiritualists ruin ties and family, it can also ruin you financially. There's customers I've heard that complained to me and told me, oh my God, I've spent about 10K. I've spent about 100,000 behind this. People, don't be gullible. Listen, everything you hear from a spiritualist, you have to take with a grain of salt. If it makes sense to you, So if you go to get a reading, you don't jump and say this is what it is. Sit down, ponder, think, take notes, go back on it, and confirm what you've heard. Because now, if you meditate and you sit on what you've learned, after a couple of days, or after a couple of weeks, or if not a couple of months, if it doesn't come to pass, then you know what it is. But if you've given it time to marinate and it comes to pass, then it's the truth. Don't ever base your actions off of things you get in a reading. See, in readings, there's a lot of downfalls. There can be a lack of understanding in interpretation, because whether it's tarot cards, whether it's clairvoyance, it's all based on interpretation. So if you're interpreting an image or visions that you receive, you have to be able to interpret it. Most people don't know how to interpret it. When you are receiving a clairvoyant reading from a spiritualist, what they're doing is looking into the spirit realm and interpreting energy patterns, which can be emotional at times, which can be visions at times. And what a lot of people don't do is differentiate the energy behind human action and the energy behind spiritual work. Because the thing is, when you're interpreting these things, they are one and the same. So it almost becomes impossible to know if someone's doing work, because the emotion of love, if someone loves someone or someone's lusting after someone, that's going to be emotion that's present that you sense and feel. You're not going to see a person in the background doing work, or it's just the natural energy that a person feels. You're barely ever going to see something of a person doing some type of ritual, and a big ritual in Haiti. If you ever get a detailed reading where they say, oh, this person's burning candles on you in Haiti and stuff like that, I would say this to you. Excuse me. I would say this to you. Ask some people for names. If a person's able to give you names that you know of, not breaking up, I'm not saying that names are not possible. Oh, the name begins with an M. Or the name ends with a Y. You know what I'm saying? When they give you these vague responses, this should be a sign to you that you're dealing with someone that's fraud. Now, okay, if the name comes out as Miriam and the name is Mary, that makes sense, you know? Or if you got someone, you know, Tyrone, and you say Tyshawn, you know, this is common. This is common when it comes to names. But when you start getting a person playing these games of the name begins with a T or the name ends with an M, whatsoever, now they're playing games with you. As they say in street terms, peep game. A lack of understanding leads to a lack of interpretation. A lack of experience leads to all the above. When you're not experienced to be able to differentiate what it is, whether it's natural or unnatural, this leads into a lot of confusion. And sometimes it's not a person's intentionally trying to deceive you. Sometimes they just don't know how to interpret. And this is where you have to become you have to be very careful, because you can't go to someone that's inexperienced, because if you're dealing with someone that's inexperienced, that person can ruin your life. A lie can cause so much problems. Again, I've had customers come to me and they'll tell me that they spent about over $100,000 behind nonsense. Don't be duped, people. With that said, I conclude this video. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.